First, right now tonight at 5 o'clock, it's the kind of weather that really takes a hold of you right as you step outside your door. Polar air swept in our area last night, still holding a good grip on us right here tonight. Wind chill factors we haven't seen in quite a long time. And we're getting you ready for another bitter cold night ahead. Hello, everybody, and thanks for joining us on this cold December evening. I'm Doug Proffitt.
And I'm Connie Leonard. We want to get you straight over to Sam Gabrielli with how soon we can expect some of this wind to die down, Sam.
Yeah, the wind's already kind of dissipating, which is some good news. But yeah, last night, early this morning, definitely a shock to the system. The coldest air that we've seen so far this year. We did dip down to a low temperature in Louisville of 19 degrees. We did have a couple of other communities even colder this morning. In fact, the wind chill this morning was well into the single digits. Here's actually a look at the past 20 hours. Yesterday, we did manage to make it to the low 50s, but yes, this morning, very cold temperatures in full force, 19 in Louisville, and we've only happened to warm our way to a grand total of 27 so far, getting an early start to your evening and late this afternoon. 23 in Bedford, as well as in Madison right now. And in Metro Louisville, we're hovering still in the mid-20s, but again, that breeze out of the northwest making it feel even cooler in some spots. So we have a wind right now, a sustained wind of around 10 miles an hour. Munfordville, you're at 10 here at Louisville at the airport, 8 miles an hour. But again, it doesn't take much wind in this kind of cold to be bringing that very cold air to the area, very brisk as we open up our Thursday evening. Feels like we're at 16 in Ali International, 13 in Elizabethtown. Here's actually a look at the evening and overnight planner. Again, dipping down to a low of 17 tonight. Tomorrow around noon, we're going to be popping pretty close to the low 30s, and I do think we're going to rise just above freezing tomorrow afternoon, reaching a high temperature of 34. And keep in mind, the average high this time of the year is 50. So we're going to be a whopping 15 degrees cooler tomorrow in the afternoon compared to what we should normally be. But I'm previewing warmer days ahead of us right on into the weekend. The full forecast straight ahead.
All right, thank you, Sam. In Northern California, a tsunami warning is no longer in effect following a major earthquake off the state's coast. Officials say it happened before 11 this morning north of Sacramento. And as you can see on your screens, a 7.0 magnitude quake knocked cans off shelves and left minor damage inside homes and businesses. At this time, there are no reports of major damage or injury.
Other top stories here tonight at 5 o'clock. A big development announced today after almost 20 years. A sexual assault case that had been unsolved for the past 2 decades now has a suspect after all of these years. Investigators say it was back in January 11, 2005, when a 17-year-old came to Louisville Metro Police and said she had been kidnapped at gunpoint and raped. At the time, DNA evidence was collected, but no match was found. Then in 2021, 16 years later, a special investigative team was formed within Kentucky State Police specifically for improving sexual assault kit investigations. KSP and Louisville Metro Police then did additional testing on DNA. That test came back with a positive match, and one man was charged with kidnapping and rape. This man right here, 47-year-old Robrico English, is currently serving a 12-year prison sentence for an unrelated robbery, so he's already in prison. He's been arrested and charged now with kidnapping and rape. His first court appearance for these new charges is set for December 11th.
An arrest was made in a Jeffersonville homicide, one of 2 that happened in the same area of the city. 55-year-old William Davis was arrested Wednesday morning in Louisville.
We want the residents of Jeffersonville to know that incidents like this are absolutely rare, isolated, and do not pose an ongoing threat to the safety of our community.
Now, officers say in November they responded to Indiana Avenue where James Truman was killed. Jeffersonville police investigated and found multiple pieces of evidence that connected Davis to the scene. Detectives said this was not a random killing and the men knew each other. Now, 48 hours before that homicide, another one happened in Jeffersonville about a mile away.
With the Truman case, the Brownlee murder was also not a coincidental or random act of violence. This tragic incident serves as another example of how criminal behavior can often perpetuate more crime. Our department remains committed to bringing closure to both of these cases and ensuring the safety of our community.
Officers say around 10:30 at night, a 34-year-old called 911 saying he was shot. Police responded to Copp Avenue, but he later died at the hospital. At the time, police said they believed 19-year-old Anthony White was the shooter. Jeffersonville police are still looking for White, and now they are also looking for his girlfriend. Andrea Peoples' mother reported her missing just 3 days ago, and she was last seen with White, but police believe they are outside of their jurisdiction. They also believe this was not a random shooting and there is no danger to the public. Newly released video right here shows one of 3 gunpoint robberies against mail carriers that happened Thanksgiving week. And it's an issue postal inspectors have had their eyes on for years, where postal workers' mailbox keys are stolen, leading to even more crimes.
We also have video tonight of a Louisville mail carrier on Crittenden Drive being robbed. The video was released by U.S. postal inspectors. Ian Hardwood asked the inspector on this case what happens with those keys once they're taken.
Exiting a white Audi with stolen plates, leveling a gun at a mail carrier, taking the workers' keys. This masked robber is one of 3 suspects who allegedly threatened USPS employees on Thanksgiving week. That video came from the YMCA Safe Place building here on Crittenden Drive. And although that footage captures the license plate on that vehicle, USPS inspectors say it was actually a stolen plate. Difficulties finding the suspects are why they're offering a $150,000 reward for information leading to their arrest.
That activity has increased in the last few years.
The first of 3 robberies happened just after noon on Hartledge Court behind the Shively Post Office. The triple robbery spree ended on Cypress Street by Johnson Traditional Middle School. In all 3 instances, keys were stolen.
To steal mail for, one is checks, but also there can be U.S. currency and maybe debit or gift cards that they're obtaining at the same time.
Since 2020, over 2,000 mail carriers have been assaulted, according to the National Association of Letter Carriers Union. In a statement they wrote, "These assaults produce fear, trauma, and physical injuries among letter carriers, and they also hurt the communities we serve." At a national level, the union has called for stronger penalties for crimes against the workers.
What's your confidence level these 3 people are going to be caught?
I believe that we will be able to solve these crimes with our work in the field and the tips we receive from the public.
Tips that Segracy has already seen roll in, but none that have won the reward money yet. In Louisville, Ian Hardwick, WHAS11, on your side.
So, Ian, a lot of us think when they're robbing these mail carriers, they're going after the packages. But in this case, it was specifically the keys, which ties into what this ongoing problem has been in the last few years.
Yeah, we've seen this stretch back even back to 2022. I remember talking to people who had their checks stolen, and then people went over and they put their names on them and cashed them. The reason they can do that is because they take the keys from the mail carriers.
Okay, that's right. And you say that the reward is really in the 6 figures here. Of course, it's a federal crime.
It's surprising that they take the chance when it's a federal crime.
Yeah, this is a $150,000 reward. That's up from $50,000 rewards they used to offer in the past. Anyone with information on this case can call the number on your screen, 1-877-876-2455. That's the U.S. Postal Inspection Service.
Okay, there it is on the screen right there. All right, thank you very much, Ian.
Got like a black gun, and I saw him after he shot him. He ran across the street.
The search tonight continuing in New York City for the man accused of shooting and killing the United Healthcare CEO, 50-year-old Brian Thompson. New York Police Department has released new photos of the suspect. In one, he's smiling without a mask, taken at a New York City hostel where sources tell police the gunman was sharing a room with 2 other people. The department has obtained a warrant to search that hostel in New York and reportedly searching other hotel locations in the city in hopes of either finding him or identifying him.
Police believe Thompson may have been targeted as detectives discovered writing on the shell casings found at the scene. They found the words deny, defend, and depose. NYPD believes the suspect may have a grudge with either United Healthcare, Thompson, or the insurance industry. The 50-year-old CEO was in New York for an investor conference, walking the street without security at the time of the shooting. He leaves behind a wife and 2 children. There's a $10,000 reward so far for information in this case.
Nervous. Just, at this point, I feel like we just want to know. We just want to know what's going to happen.
Well, anxiety in the Kentucky bourbon industry as it prepares for a return to Trump-era tariffs and new ones the president-elect promises to impose. It's top of mind for distillers and bourbon businesses in the Commonwealth.
Of course, their signature industry in this state. And that includes Louisville's Brown-Forman, headquartered right here, and family-owned distilleries like Michter's. They do not want to see trade wars. Our Isaiah Kim Martinez and senior photojournalist Alyssa Newton visited a local distillery today. And Isaiah, what does this mean for one of Kentucky's top economic drivers? You're the governor always talking about the bourbon industry.
Right. It's $9 billion, like you had said, Doug, just for Kentucky. And the word right now is uncertainty. Bourbon companies are hesitant to use the words dial back when it comes to production. But here's the reality. International sales are huge for Kentucky's bourbon industry, and the fear over other countries retaliating with tariffs of their own is real. Now, we asked Colleen Thomas with the Kentucky Distillers Association what the impacts could look like.
It's not the big distillers that are going to get hit the hardest. It's the farmers who grow our corn. It's the loggers and the coopers who build our barrels. It is the truck drivers. It is the distillery workers. It's the local communities that are going to be devastated. They're going to feel it first.
Thomas tells me Kentucky is still bouncing back from the European Union's 25% tariffs on American whiskey back in 2018, which could double to 50% next year. It's in direct response to Donald Trump's tariffs on the EU during his first term. The president-elect and other supporters of tariffs believe taxes on imports are necessary to protect manufacturing jobs here in the U.S. and to increase government revenue. Now, Doug mentioned Michter's. We talked with their COO today, getting a tour inside the Shively distillery. We'll show you that, plus later tonight you'll hear what Brown-Forman's CEO hopes the incoming administration will, quote, realize about the bourbon industry here in the U.S. His message coming up here at 6. Doug.